I'm Claire Evelyn, design enthusiast and space curator. I've been designing and coaching clients for 7 years, helping you create beautiful and functional spaces by learning new techniques, understanding research, and making mindset changes is my area of expertise. I want you to live in a space that compels and inspires you. I created the Spaces Speak podcast to facilitate discussions about higher purposes in design and how anyone can integrate intentional design into their daily lives to improve their habits, routines, and reach their goals. I interview intriguing guests from a variety of disciplines: artists, psychologists, entrepreneurs, authors, and more. Anyone who has knowledge to share to help people redesign their space and transform their life. Before we dive in, I want to tell you about my free design quiz. The quiz will help you figure out not only what interior design style suits you, but also how to get started executing that style in your home. Just head over to trimspaces.com and the button to take the quiz is right there on the homepage. Welcome to another episode of Spaces Speak. Today I'm interviewing Michaell Magrutsche. Michaell is a multidisciplinary artist, educator, and author. He works on raising the awareness of our limitless human potential and its wisdom. Michaell's talent is to seed a new consciousness by unveiling the untapped powers through understanding humans' limitless powers of art and creativity, healthy discourse, and adaptability outside of systems. As a dyslexic child, he did not fit in with standard systems, but he found his salvation in art. Michaell's mission is to show humans that we need something very different right now because we are in a consciousness crisis.
Hi, Claire.
Hello. Hi.
Hold on. Let me show you myself. Okay.
Oh. Is that an original?
Yeah, it's all my backgrounds are original. For everybody, it's a different original.
Oh, I love it. That's great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so glad you want to dive deep with me. You don't want to talk. You just don't want to talk about shallow things, which I think there's so much in art and creativity and design. There's so much in it. I wrote 5 books on art. So
yeah, 5 books. Wow. So there's definitely a lot on your mind about creativity, right?
Did you see my podcast? It's about it's like 80 some episodes of just 20 to 30 seconds and a quote and a question, because I want to pivot the creativity to a human superpower. And so it's art outside of system, creativity outside of systems. So what is really a creativity and art doing to us? And how we use it. It's not something you can acquire, right? It's just something you have to discover, unveil from yourself.
So are those clips meant to inspire you quickly?
Yeah, no, just to think about it. And because artists, 95 to 97% are poor worldwide, artists. And because they have never defined themselves. So I did this podcasts so that we start defining, creatives start defining themselves. When you go to a plumber, you say, why am I paying you $5,000? She says, okay, I get you a bathtub, I get you a wash basin, and I do the piping. And this is what when you go to a creative, an interior designer, even if you know that, right? When you go to it, oh, I got a price for this and I did this home or that. What the hell does that mean? That means absolutely nothing to me.
Right.
You know what I mean? It just, or my picture, I was shown in the MoMA or whatever. Who cares? What is the value to me?
Right.
And that's what I try to get people aware of, that because you can attack me all you want about creativity. I can defend everything I create. I say I'm not forcing you to like it, but if you say, why am I paying this amount of money for this? Then I would say, because you recognize my creativity, my communication with the unknown. So I'm bringing in from the inspiration, I bring something in, and that's my job, you know. And if you
Well,
can do it,
do
you
you
don't
think
need me. If you can do it, you don't need me, you know.
right? Do you think if somebody's challenging you in terms of your monetary value, it's because they're just not resonating, they're not the right viewer
No, they don't
anyways?
understanding. They don't understanding. And then you have the
Right.
other side. You have the other side, which is somebody spends $1 million for a wing of a museum, and he doesn't know why. Because I talked to those people and said, "Why did you spend so much money? Why, you know?" And they don't know, but they
Mm.
feel it resonates. So you feel when you look at a piece of art and it touches you, you feel it resonates with you and humanity, and you feel the communication between the unknown and the physical, non-physical, and the physical, and you feel that. So you're either oblivious to it or you just deny it, but
Mhm.
it's there. You know it. It's there. That's why somebody likes this design and somebody likes that designer.
Right, right. Um, Before we get too far in, I did want to ask you my signature question and see what's the most interesting piece of art or furniture or decor that you have in your home that you are willing
Oh,
to share
I,
with
I thought
us.
about that. I thought about that. Oh, I dripped out. I thought about it, and I found it.
That's
Um,
okay. Take your time.
my chair that I'm sitting on.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, because it gives me so much feeling. It's the right height.
Hmm.
It's the comfortable thing of, being comfortable.
Right.
I feel I'm getting loved by that chair every time I'm sitting on it.
You look forward to
So
sitting
it,
in it.
it is literally making, I've never had a chair like this, and it makes me conscious every time I sit on it, like not every second, but every time I sit down on it or so. Oh my God, this is an unbelievable chair. I've never had this in my 60 years of living. I've never had that.
Wow.
It just is an extension of me.
Wow. That's
It's
high
very,
praise for a chair.
no, I say I've never, I didn't know before I sat on this chair that this
Uh-huh.
was possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
So do you think having that chair be like an extension of you actually motivates you to sit in it and do work sometimes when you don't necessarily feel like it?
I haven't thought about that, but I
Yeah.
like to sit. Obviously, if I wouldn't be that comfortable, I wouldn't sit on the chair.
Right.
You don't know. We are so unconscious. We're so unconscious. So that's why your question is great, because it makes me aware.
Aware. Yeah.
But we are very unconscious, as you know. I mean, what is the worst for a designer? When somebody says, "Do my room," is the worst thing that you can have. I mean, I think it's a punishment. I have had this. I have had. Had a client when I did design, interior design, that said, "Buy whatever you want and do it." And then he said, "Oh, I didn't like that color." I said, "You like everything I do." I said, "No, I didn't like that. So let's
Yeah.
get Pottery Barn or whatever, whoever did that, to Crate and Barrel, like exchange all that stuff, and let's do this." And so I'm never letting anybody tell me, do it for me,
Hmm.
because I think we are here. I think I am here. I don't know what you do, but I'm here that you find yourself,
Hmm. Hmm.
that you find who you are. And we are constantly changing, you know. I mean, I know just from the background of mine and what I wear, I constantly change.
Right.
So that background will not be next time when we talk, for example.
Right.
So
Right.
I constantly change stuff. And personally, because I'm I'm an artist. I did thousands of paintings. When you go on my Instagram, it's like I'm someone that just creates because it feels so good.
Mm-hmm.
And I my usually my house is very minimal. It's very
Really? Yeah.
minimal. It's almost nothing on the wall, no pictures on the wall, no paintings. And people come to me and
Really?
said, "Are you crazy?" I said, I need space. I'm such a creator. See, what's important, this is stuff, when we were gonna go deep, we said, yeah. The space, if you don't have the space, there's nothing to create. So
Mm-hmm.
the space is what minimal art does, and I'm a minimal artist, is it shows the balance, how important space is. And it's almost a physical demonstration of how important, because I know a lot of minimal artists and galleries, and they cannot explain it. So I dove deep and said, what is it in minimal art? Why is that so appealing to me?
Right.
I think it's about the balance that it demonstrates.
Mm-hmm.
Minimal art demonstrates how important the balance between space and what you actually do is, or create or sculpture or whatever. It shows the balance, and it demonstrates that.
Right.
And
The empty space is just as important as what you
it's
create.
exactly it's
Mm-hmm.
exactly as important. And then obviously you bend space. You give too little negative space on purpose, you give too much negative space on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to dive into this thing because there's so much wisdom in there. I say
Yeah.
art and creativity is the wisdom, the language of wisdom.
Right.
So I like to really dive into it and define it, because then once I define it, people, I mean, you probably haven't heard anybody say it like me, and then you
Mm-mm.
resonate with it, and then but my advantage is I never fit into any systems. So I could not. My education is zero. I mean, I fly. I'm dyslexic. I can't read. I have to listen and read. I'm dysgraphic too, so I'm my hand-eye coordination doesn't work perfect. I cannot read my writing. So I have never fit in. So I had to
Right.
discover all my own stuff. So basically, all the stuff on that podcast that I have, the Smart of Art, is just it's just an unveiling of stuff. I didn't invent it. I'm just observing and veiling it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have a sensitive, and that dyslexia is a superpower. It shows you context. It
Is
brings
that how
everything in
you got
context.
into minimal art?
I got
From
into minimal arts because I liked it, and I didn't know
okay.
why. Like I
Yeah.
didn't like the chair. When you asked me, then I could actually say, wow. And what I said beforehand about this chair is exactly what I wasn't conscious. I just unveiled it from a subconscious,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah.
can recall that every time I sit down, it feels really good. And I feel like cushiony, cozy, whatever. But I never feel bad. Like in the other chairs, my back hurt, whatever. I can sit 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours in the chair and
And
work.
nothing. Yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, you mentioned that it's unconscious, and I know you've said that we're in a consciousness crisis. Can you
exactly.
can you explain what you mean
Yeah.
by that?
So we don't need a new app. We don't need a new technology. We don't need a new car. We don't need anything new. We just need to be conscious, because we are so busy in everything. Look, we have an iPhone that knows more than the the space rockets that went to the moon.
That's true.
Everybody. So we have all this stuff, and we can't do it. I mean, I use the technology for my stuff. I'm hardly on a phone. You know what I am? On an iPod. I
Mm.
constantly dictate on an iPod because stuff comes in, and that I don't lose it, and then I work over it afterwards. So I observe something, and I see, oh my God, look at the color combination. I never thought about whatever, an off pink with a lavender. I never thought about that combination,
Mm-hmm.
or the chartreuse with a dark, almost purple. I never thought about that. So I'm speaking in it, and then play with color, you know.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I I think it's a consciousness crisis. I think the world is beautiful as it is. We don't have to change. We don't have to think. We have to be conscious, because once you're conscious, if I say, hey, you know, I give you any event, uh, I don't want to say that example, but let's say I say you have a disease, you can't just be oblivious to that, you know? Or what is if I say you have 3 months to live? I hate to use that example, but basically, once you're conscious about that,
Mm-hmm.
you have to do something. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like you have to do something or be. So I say, okay, I'm good with my life. 3 months, fine. I'm fine. I love the 3 months and then I die.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's just a consciousness crisis. Once you're conscious, you don't do it. Humans, for example, they don't want to be mean to other humans, you know? So when you ask Bezos, I said, do you want to, Jeff Bezos, you know, of Amazon, you said, you want the people to pee in bottles, you know, down at your conveyor belt? Of course he doesn't want that. But he's so detached, you know, because he's
Mm-hmm.
so far away, he
So
doesn't
removed,
know.
yeah.
Humans, it doesn't matter how rich, they don't want other humans to suffer. They don't want other humans uh, to starve, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But we are inclusive. But the system of wealth and money is separating us, and all the other systems that we have, the power is really in our inclusivity, you know, that you and I co-create a podcast that we both didn't expect that it's going to work out like that. And that's the magic.
Right.
Why so many, why so many podcasts are out there, because it's so much magic that we create, and we really discover unveil our magic, our healthy dialogue, that we can create magic, basically.
Right, right. Having those unexpected kind of
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
conversations. Do you try to guess wake people up to their consciousness through your art? Is that something that you try to do?
Art and my personality, just
Mm-hmm.
who I am,
Just in talking about your
like I
art and who
said
you
to you.
are.
Yeah. And also I said, I think art is a great thing because it has no, if you go politics, it has a lot of weight, a lot of negative and positive weight. But if you go in art, it's always positive. It's our human, that's why I'm saying I'm actually working right now. I want to amend the human right of freedom of speech with the freedom of expression and art and culture,
Mm-hmm.
because they are above every system. There's no system that should control that. So when states go into war, they destroy the first thing that destroys the culture. And
Mm-hmm.
we live already too much through systems, and patterns of systems, that I think humanity and art needs to be the golden thread for future generation to recognize where we came from. So
Right.
to whitewash a Disney movie doesn't help, and say, okay, people were racist then. If you don't know what it was racism, you have no connection. You're disconnected from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think why I say consciousness crisis, I think we are disconnected from what is important. That we have everything, that we have ourselves and we have other people, and that's a beautiful. You have to explore that, and don't waste your time being system navigator and system efficient.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
So how can the everyday person combat the consciousness crisis? Do you think through creativity or?
I think the first lie is that I always come to that. I said the first lie is everything is sunshine. And if it's not, you can go to the system and it sells you a pill, it sells you a Ferrari, it sells you a face job.
Hmm.
It's a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Life isn't always sunshine. Life doesn't matter if you go to Stone Age or you go now. It doesn't matter. Life is both. So can see the difference, and you can navigate your balance. See, balance, there comes the balance in, like the balance is the most important in design. The balance is the power, the absolute power.
Mm-hmm.
The elephant is not more worse than the ant. They're both valuable because they exist. And what our superpower is creativity. We can change everything. We can alter everything. We have a solution for everything,
Mm-hmm.
but not through systems. It has to be through humanity, where humans talk to each other, not through, texting or leaving emails or messages. It is literally talking. Even this, is not as good as if we would meet in person.
Right. You're missing a
And
lot of
understand.
body cues.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I understand. We use that, but this is better than texting. Texting is 4% of communication.
Right. Yeah. Very small.
Very small, and that's why it's always misinterpreted. So I love the people that say, "Oh, metaverse," and so we're living in a metaverse. We living humanity through systems. We are in a metaverse. So imagine we're creating another metaverse. In the metaverse, we are completely disconnected. We are already so
4%.
Yeah, we're already so disconnected. What do you think? What happens? We're gonna even more. So people don't even. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say, do you find that your creativity or your want to create a new piece of art increases after you've communicated with someone, after having human interaction?
Say that again. I didn't get that correct. I didn't understand the question correctly.
So do you think, like, say after this conversation, will you be more inspired to create something versus beforehand, just because of that human interaction?
I haven't thought about this. I mean, it's
Okay.
interesting. It's an interesting question. I haven't thought about it. I would say, if we talk about something specific, if we talk something specific, if we say, you tell me about, hey, I have a real problem with this, and I say I have the same problem, I think then of definitely. I mean, if you and I have the same problem or a similar problem or a similar issue, or even with something good, it doesn't have to be negative. It's just saying, hey, when you do this, do you have the same thing? I said, let me think about this, how we can make that more often, that we have success. Because it's, it's saying what works and not what doesn't work. It's just, well, how can we make that work better?
Right. Yeah, relating over a problem. Yeah, that's definitely true. So then how do you find your inspiration? Like, you were talking about doing your voice recordings about, say, color on your iPod. Is there something that you do specifically to inspire yourself? Or is it just
no, go in
something
nature? I mean, first of all, being with other humans, because as you know, that ripples in, it drips in. After our conversation, I might think 2 hours later, wow, Claire, what she said, what the question that she answered, I would never thought she'd ask me about this. And it just comes. It's not to process the conversation. See, there's a difference between processing something or it drips in, because it drips in means, okay, it just drips in. It doesn't have any meaning or anything. It just drips in, and you need to be aware of that, because I wouldn't be aware of things we talked about that weren't interesting to us or to me,
Right.
And you wouldn't think about it either when we talk about things. So it drips in for a reason, and then I look at it. But I think we are constantly in inspiration. The problem is, what is writer's block? It's being out of time and space. When you are in so now we go into creation and inspiration, right? So when you are creating or inspired, let's say I'm inspired by that dark purple and chartreuse. I'm going into this. I cannot think, oh, what am I going to say now to you? Or what am I going to say? How am I going to pay the bills there? Or I wish my girlfriend would do this. You know, you can't think about this. It's like you looking at a room, right? And you say that the person says, you know, the client says, I want this purple sofa that you have. Yeah. But what kind of wallpaper would you use? So what kind of thing? So you can't think about your boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever. When you do this, you have to be
Present.
present to have the conversation of the non-physical to the physical, because it's not like you have 5 things and you place them and replace them. You have to solve something creatively. Mm-hmm. And therefore you have to be in the moment. And I think the more you are in the moment, the less you need inspiration, because it comes in when it needs to. You don't need to know, it will just be coming. So for example, the best ideas, that's an old trick we have. They just come in the middle of the night. They come when you not even think about it. Right. You eat an ice cream and others say, oh my God, I know how to do the wall. Yeah. I mean, and nothing triggered it. Neither the ice cream had the right color or anything, because we like to always structureize everything. No, you eat an ice cream and there is an issue. And you say, you know, I wish I would know that floor, what to do with that floor, because the floor is the problem. I see that doesn't work. You eat the ice cream, boom, it comes in and you know it.
And there's no
and it could be the most off. It could be the most off. For example, to paint the floor, you know, and to put a varnish over it. I mean, it could be something so off that you wouldn't even, but it would totally pull the room together, you know?
Right. Yeah. Hey, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Do you think that everybody has their own type of creativity that they can harness, or do you think there's people?
I think we plug all in. Really we all plug in the consciousness, and we all plug into that, because my art is similar to other people's art. For example, Alexander Calder has similar pieces of me. I didn't even know Alexander Calder till I was like 35, and I painted so much before, you know. The power is in together, and when you experience it, it's so fulfilling. I mean, you and I living in this out right now, you know, because I've never talked about these things that we have talked, you know. So we actually demonstrate what happens when you just have an open talk.
Right. Yeah, definitely. What would your advice be for somebody who hasn't figured out what their creativity plug is yet, if they're still trying to find that out?
I created a movement in Laguna Beach. It's called the Self-Aware Art Movement, and it's about your creative voice, and voice with a capital V. And in 2015, I wrote a document, and I had classes. I got a grant for a new art education, and I had 100 graduates that did that, and they said it changed their lives. I mean, you can go on YouTube and see what they say. So I can send that to you, and you can add that to this episode.
Absolutely.
Because that would be a step for step, and I would recommend you do it too, because it's really, it's being self-aware, and being self-aware artist is know what you're doing, why you're doing, and be able to verbalize it to somebody else. That's basically, so not just saying, oh, I created this painting behind there and this is it, and I untitle it. I don't put a title on it, because art is in the eyes of the beholder. No. I created that because of the color combination. I don't know yet, you know, why I created, but I wouldn't know if I would put some time in this. I could explain what I did, but because you gotta verbalize, you bring in, not have half thoughts. Okay, why do I always choose the color, you know, blood red? You know, why do I choose that always? I had a student that said, you know, I said, do you understand? When I looked at his work and I said, do you recognize you have Kelly green in almost all of your, there's a little bit of a color green. Even this, the whole painting is kind of purple or whatever. The Kelly green always comes in. And I said, did you know that? And he says, no, I didn't. I said, why is it? Let's talk about it. This was one of my students in this class. Let's talk about this. And the whole class was in there.
Yeah.
And then we couldn't figure it out. He went home. And like I said before, he came, or she came back. I think it was a boy. And he came back and he said, I know now. I was sitting every summer. We went to my grandfather, and my grandfather had a farm. And he took me on the tractor, which was a John Deere, which is Kelly green. And it was the most joyous time of my life.
Aww.
How unbelievable that story, right? So he
Yeah,
identified the joy, but now he was conscious. Do you see what the power there is there when you know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and you can verbalize it? And that recognition, it doubles. I say to everybody, think about the stuff that I'm saying in my podcast, and you will double your experience of art, and you will double your creativity, because because all of a sudden you become conscious. And that is such a richness. You don't feel like a starving artist. You will feel rich and wealthy because it's so fulfilling. I'm not rich, but look, I'm very happy. I'm very joyous. I've never been happy in my life. Because I'm constantly this exploration of the stuff that is already here and we don't see it, it's just so rewarding. It's just so fulfilling.
Yeah, I need to listen to your podcast.
Yeah, it's twice a week, 20 or 30 seconds. And it's a quote, and it doesn't mean you need to remember the quote. It is, you just listen to the quote and think about it, and there's a question, and then answer it to you. You don't need to write down. You can write all this stuff down or copy the tiles. It's just a tile. You can just read it. You don't even need to listen to it. It's even faster. And let that percolate in you. And I believe, this is what I believe, that the whole is a consciousness. Everybody has that seed. I just plant the seed, and you fill that in. You say, hey, I have nothing to do with this, and you discard it. But everybody fills in there, and therefore we change the whole consciousness of our world. Inclusive, it doesn't matter if an Indian person reads that or a Japanese person reads that. That's what it does. And that's the essence of creativity,
Do you think that your art also does that?
I don't know. I love your question because I've never thought about it. I haven't. I think there's expression of me, but this is 10 years old. This is not a new painting or something. And I haven't done a lot of paintings. I've done some paintings. I did a commission, and I just work on commissions. I don't really, have a bunch of art to sell. So you look at my works in Instagram or something, or on my website, and then you choose that, But I have not thought about I think I'm plugged in somewhere to pull that out, and then it resonates with you, because if you recognize the patterning or the colors or the design, it makes something with you, and then you recognize that we are interlinked. Because how can I create something I've never seen you and you resonate with that? It's almost like you like a person or you don't like a person. It just, and you can be, that's what I say. Art doesn't need to be accepted like you have to like art. You can be indifferent. You don't have to look at every, you go to a museum and the people are like, oh, I have to look at every painting. No, you don't. You go to the painting that resonates with you. And then you ask yourself, and this is what I write in my book, all these quotes are coming from a book. You go then and ask yourself, why is it that I like this? Because it's not that you like it, that's the nice thing. The real value comes when you bring in the wisdom that that's painting, that experience gives you. Why
Mm-hmm.
do I like bumblebees? Why do I like, a beautiful Renaissance painter? Why do I like Caravaggio? Why do I like these things? What is it doing with me? That's the important thing of art. It's not that you resonate and say, oh, that feels good. Yeah, that's nice. You feel it, but the feeling is usually guiding you to a truth, a wisdom that, your higher aspects of you wanted you to know. That's why
Mm-hmm.
something pisses you off. It's not that it
Yeah.
pisses you off. It's like, why does that piss me off?
Right. Right.
And there's and so you have something that pisses you off. It's a dark thing, right? It's not society. Everything has to be hunky-dory, and if not, take a Prozac. So it is hunky. It's not hunky-dory. But when you figure out why this angers you, it makes it good. When you figure out why that green in the Kelly green, he was upset. He couldn't find it out. He says, there's something wrong with me. I can't find out why this is green, And then he found it out, and it changes. And that's power. When
Mm-hmm.
you can dive into creativity, into the essence of that, all that is created, and you can look at it, the dark and light, everything, because art doesn't say, okay, it has to be only light art, only religious art. Art wants to be created and exposed. There's two things that it wants to be, created and exposed. So you get the full effect. It doesn't even have to be exposed, but if you don't, you get an extra effect of it. So if I create a painting and expose it to you, your interaction, if you say something or not, gives me a fuller picture of what I created.
Yeah.
You
That's
see
true.
that? So you see
Yeah.
how we can get conscious about everything, and how unbelievable good that feels. That is
Yeah.
better
Yeah.
than any money, that is. And now you know why you are in interior design. It's a what is that I love to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's
Mm-hmm.
another thing about interior design that we could talk another time if you want, but I would love to really create a document, or what is it about interior design? Why do people ask you to do it? Why they say, here's my room, do something with it. Why is that? Why do they want, or are they painters themselves and say, I imagine, do you put in this purple sofa in and this picture and whatever? Are they painters and they have no, like me, I have no hand-eye coordination, and they just ask you to help them, which is also inclusive, of course. Are
Yeah.
you the
Yeah.
executor, or are you the the light person that brings them? It's almost like a healing that brings them to reflect to themselves. I would love to dive in this.
Yeah. No, I'm happy to. I've actually said before that interior design is half of it is being a therapist.
Yeah,
And because a lot of the times it's the person, they know what they want, they know what they like, they don't know how to bring it to life, and that's what you're there for. You're there to ask them the questions and kind of pull the
give them
Kelly
a voice.
green
Yeah,
out of them. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Give them a voice and give them permission to say that is a good idea. You should do that. They're looking
yeah.
to somebody to, confirm that that's going to be a good design choice or not, and also to guide them down the right path. But I've realized over the years that it's a lot less about actually presenting new ideas and more about pulling out the ideas that they already have in them. Maybe
Absolutely.
bringing consciousness to their creativity, if you want
Exactly. It's all
to.
about becoming conscious. It's all about
Hmm.
becoming conscious. So if I would say if somebody has a Baroque style, wants everything in Baroque style, and I see that person as a farm style, because nothing is better or worse, as a not shabby chic, but as a farming shabby chic. Yeah, I see that
Right.
person. And I would tell that person, I would say, I know it's beautiful. I like Baroque too, but for me, you resonate this. I'm just here to tell you that, but I'm not designing it for you, but we can do it
Mm-hmm.
together. And I think it's a hand holding, and things that happen to me where somebody says, just do it. I would never accept the job. I would never accept. I said, do you want to get the maximum value out of transforming that room or to fund that space? Then you need to work with me.
Mm-hmm.
If not, because you will never be happy. Because
Right. No,
you
it's true.
you will never, never, never be happy. Because I cannot, it's almost like you go in a hotel room and you like the hotel room, but it's not you,
Right.
right?
Right.
So,
You can like a
so
lot of different styles.
yeah, it's like a car, yeah, okay, but then, you know, it wears out. And I think the honesty to the customer that saying, we changed it and we might put green walls and whatever, but in a year you might not like this anymore,
Mm-hmm.
so do you want something, do you have the funds to do this every year, or do you want to stick it out and do something that is really you and lasts longer, that you can adapt to who you are? See, the
Mm-hmm.
adaptation is a great thing, and I mean, and this comes in now because while we talk, it's do you want to adapt to what we create, or do you want something that is absolute? And then also when a partner comes in, when kids come in, how are you going to do that? See, in my book,
Mm-hmm.
I wrote, if you design something for a family, that everybody should have their wall. I think because it needs to be separated, not integrated. I think integration is, it needs to be, if you like, um, Warhol paintings and your wife doesn't like Warhol paintings, I would have a wall or your room with Warhol paintings. I wouldn't have her paintings, um, like a Picasso. I wouldn't have Picasso in the living room unless I would say that. I would say we may compromise on different arts in the living room where we always are in the kitchen. But I don't like compromises. I really don't. I think the beauty is that you are different than me. I
Mm-hmm.
love the difference. I get so much out that you are you and I'm I. That's why I fell in love with you, right? So we fall in love because, so I think it needs to be separate. And if you have kids and they live at home till they're 18 or 20, have their own design. And it does
Mm-hmm.
the overall design of a house. It could be, whatever, country style or country modern or whatever, but it doesn't mean that the interior needs to be, all the same way too. Uh, and the
Yeah.
people, yeah, but we entertain a lot. I said, how much do you entertain, and how much is your time together? You know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I kind of
Yeah, no,
like
I
it.
think you're right. I like that idea. It makes me think of, maybe having different corners almost where you get
Exactly,
to express yourself. You have that
exactly.
space that makes you happy, and in the same way you can look at your partner's space and understand that is them. I see them reflected in that, and it makes me happy that they have their space to express themselves.
And it reminds the person of themselves, because when people get together, they merge into each other.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you should never lose yourself in the partner. So what a corner, like you say, what a corner does is it reminds you why you married him or be with him, or her. And on the other hand, it reminds him of who he is.
Mm-hmm.
See, and that's why I think the systematic approach of interior design is never right. it doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And see, we are not conscious of this. See,
Mm-hmm.
we right now do human potential work. We have an interaction and we say, hey, what would be the human part of it? That's why my true north is always humanity and nature or habitat, you know. And I say, and wisdom, and not just knowledge, because knowledge is updates. And then we just copy things because it's the style, we have to do it. No, you don't. You change everything you want, especially when it comes to creativity.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very true. Um, jump changing gears just a little
Okay.
bit. You said on your website, your in quotes, your colors provide clarity and focus that bring you into this very moment. And I really liked that. It resonated with me because I understand a certain color can kind of focus your mind. Um, but I was wondering if you think there are specific times or places to kind of implement that where it's more appropriate than others, I guess.
Oh, again, unbelievable question. And it's so many answers. Okay, first of all, I think there's multi layers.
Hmm.
So I create whoever is me because I'm so creating me. And you are not familiar with me. If you see my painting, first of all, you walk into a room, you see my painting, you don't even see the design because I'm so me. It's not that I'm so powerful, but I'm so me. So that's one layer. The other layer is there's seasons, there is cycles, there is moods, right? They're on a
Mm.
different level. See, they're on attention is one thing. So this is drawing your attention. But then colors with mood is another level. And then it depends on what season it is, you know. In winter, you might want to like, darker colors or muted colors or whatever. And summer, more white and more bright, bright colors. So we reflect that and we do it on so many levels uh, to comprehend it, to pull that into a fixed, choice. It's very hard to do.
Yeah.
I mean, Martha Stewart does the seasonal change. I think I remember that she does that. And I mean, how much do you want to be enslaved to your, the changing the interior to express your mood? I mean,
Right. Right.
I don't know. I mean, if it makes sense, then do it. Absolutely. There's no right or wrong or good or right, but I'm saying, the summer and winter, we go into Hamptons in the summer and in the winter we're in New York, and New York is different than the Hamptons.
Right.
So,
Right.
so it's different.
Hmm. And then how is that? Do you think that's separate from attention?
I think, no, attention is because this is unique. This is not system, this is not, whatever. It's like, Duchamp with this, you know, toilet thing, it is a different, it gets your attention. Are
Hmm.
you energetically involved in it? No, you just look at it and say, oh my God, this is art. Is it art? I mean, you question, you get engaged. I engage you definitely with me and my art. I engage you.
Hmm.
But do you need to like me? No, I don't think it has anything to do with like. And I think it gets you in the moment, because when you look at my art and you are not, look, if I say, you know what, I bought a print of the Mona Lisa, you know already what's going to be, right? You look at, say, look at my print of the Mona Lisa. Yeah, you think, but if I say I bought this artist, I've never met somebody like this, just see it, and you have no idea what you're looking at. You have no idea what you're going to look at, and then you come in, and obviously because I told you, but then you look at that stuff and say, he is different, and then you make up your mind. But in order to gauge that, in order that you, the viewer, comes in and gauges that, You can't think about your boyfriend. You can't think about your money. You can't think about a, because it pulls you into the moment. It pulls you in this moment. It's, yeah, that's why art is so powerful. That's the highest creativity of, that's why this is, it's almost like a deity, because is the conversation that you have with the non-physical. It's a physical manifestation of a conversation that you have from non-physical to the physical. And if the artist is really focused on that and not on the market to sell it, you have good art. That's good art, because he focuses on that as clear as he gets, that what he gets, that he's manifesting that in the physical. And that's power. That is powerful. And that's why people pay for Basquiat millions of dollars, you know? And for him, it was a true conversation, because that's when the conversation, you know, he did drugs and all that stuff, you know, and he was a disturbed human being. But when he did that, that made him live that long. I mean, he died early anyway, but that made him live that long, because he could think, and that's what people recognize. It is so genuine, you know. He pissed on paintings and whatever. I mean, but it is so genuine, and it's about the genuinity that if you connect. And that's what people recognize. That's why people vibrate with him and not with somebody, you know, that tries to please. He didn't try to please either. You know, that's another thing. Should never do anything. Pleasing should be a symptom. It should never be a cause. Pleasing should be a symptom of your authenticity, and that people recognize your pure authenticity. And the symptom is they're gonna be pleased.
Right, because if that's your goal, then you're not being true to your
No,
expression.
you can't.
Right.
You have to do your stuff. But it is so hard to tell somebody. And I think this is the hard thing. That's why we are more guides, artists or interior designers are more guides, wisdom guides. You know, we look at things, we open up things, we closing things. You know, we say, let go of this. This is your husband, you know, your ex-husband, you know, whatever. So open up, close, giving different viewpoints, you know, and giving answers. If I want to see, this is a donut piece of furniture. Why do I like that? Why do I like an Eames chair? You know, what is that in that? And then you get the Eames chair, and then it will mean something to you, because you understand why you like it. You know, is it because it costs that much, or is it because there's something in the aesthetic? And aesthetic changes too. That's another thing. You know, I started with Mickey Mouse, and then I went to Asterix, and then I went, you know, books and whatever, and a hard time reading, and my music was from the Beatles and thing, and then I ended up Miles Davis, John Coltrane, you know, and then I went to classical music, and aesthetic is a muscle that grows through experience. That's why I say to every artist or designer, look at as much as you can in the beginning. Look at it. So you recognize patterns, and you see the depth in you too. So you can, it's very informative for you if you look at things the right way. So, for example, if you go outside, this is what I tell, to give an example. You go outside, you have your little daughter with you, and it's sunny, and there's a fountain, and you say, come here, honey. And you walk around the fountain, all of a sudden you see the rainbow, right? Because it's a fountain, it's sunny, and it's a rainbow. And you can find the rainbow. And that's what it is. Life is looking at a different perspective and enjoying that. And I think that's the main thing of an interior designer, as artists too. I mean, we have to educate, and we have to educate why. And I think we never did that, and we're never doing it. And that's why it's so hard for a designer to make money. It's so hard for artists to make money because it's not valued, but we are not aware either. We are unaware.
I like what you said, that we're wisdom guides. Maybe I'll change my title to that instead.
Wisdom guides. We really are. It's wisdom. It's, your kid will never forget what to do, and her kid will. She will tell it to her kid. It's not something, and you cannot experience. I can write. Look how many books have been written about art or movies, about love. If you haven't experienced to fall in love, how would you describe it? There is not enough words to experience when you fall in love.
Right, that's true.
And fall in love is actually being in a moment. So that feeling is not an emotion that is generated by another person. It's because two resonates come together and it pulls them back into their essence. And when you're in that essence, I feel in love a lot of times, and I don't have a partner, So because it's that feeling of being in the moment. When you're in the moment, you feel like in love. You feel in peace too. So the peace that you have in creating, right? It's the whole world is crazy, and you draw out a sketch or you look at fabric, right? And say, oh my God, the peace that it gives you, in that moment, not 5 minutes before or after. It's just so enriching.
You're right.
Isn't it?
It's funny to say that about a piece of fabric, but you're right. It is.
Isn't it? And you touch it, and the tactile. We are so tactile. We have to touch, and you touch it, you smell it, It's just all the senses in that moment. You can't be unhappy. You cannot look for swatches to decide something and be depressed. It just doesn't, either you're depressed or you're looking at swatches, but you can't do both. Right. So
I like that. That's pretty funny. I'm curious, this will probably be one of the last questions, but if you've considered combining the senses for kind of creating a creative experience that brings you into the moment. So looking at a piece of art and pairing it with a specific song or quote or story or something. Is that something you've done or thought about?
I've done this when I was 19 years old. I was a producer of a fashion show for Daniel Hechter, and in Europe at a big disco. And there was the fall collection. It was red, strawberry red and vanilla. And like a beautiful vanilla color. Yeah. So, then there wasn't a lot of color. So that was the main theme. And I had the strawberry spray, strawberry scent, and the vanilla spraying vanilla scent. So I know it works. I mean, I did that when I was 19 years old. So yes, you can absolutely put stuff together. And when, there's a lot of people, I'm getting asked, what is your favorite color? I said, my favorite color is green. And I was thinking, why is it green? And I said, because green has so many, it's yellow, blue. It has so many vibrations in it combined, and all kinds of green. And so I thought first, now a little deep dive in color. I thought first it was a navy blue, but navy blue has green in it.
Oh, it's true. Yeah.
So it's a green thing. So it is green. But I say, yeah, that's one level. You can see what's your favorite color. But the next level is color combinations. Color combinations can conjure in you so many patterns of being alive as a human. I mean, I'm just talking Ukraine right now because that's that yellow and that the blue.
Yellow, the blue.
Yeah, but it conjures not Ukraine. It is recognizable as Ukraine, but it conjures so many other things. White and red, yellow and blue, yeah, which we know.
Red and green.
Red and green, yellow and red. There is so many combinations that give you. I love the washed out pink with black. Like I like this orangey. Where is my hand? Oh, here. Yeah, this one. This is a
Uh-huh.
great color. Yeah.
That
So
is
I don't know
a
what
peach.
it's peach, yeah, peach, and washed out a little bit. And that was a navy blue with dark green. I mean, I can go on, and the combination is so powerful. And you see a lot of combination of my photos. When you go through my Instagram, you just look at what I combine. It is a total universe that hasn't been explored correctly. People just do the same old, same old. And this is how we grow aesthetically as a society. I remember when I was young, there was no way that you could combine a brown with a black.
Hmm.
There was only brown, beige, lighter green, lighter thing, but there was no, green and brown. Green and brown was, you had green and you could put a little brown in it, but it wasn't, you couldn't have a suit. It had to all tone in tone, black, blue, blue. Uh, and I know it's from suits. And now you can, have you seen what's it called? Uh, there's in Paris, that is a show, Lily in Paris on Netflix.
Oh, Emily in Paris.
Emily,
Yes, I have seen that.
phenomenal. I mean, I don't care for the story, but I'm looking at the combination of clothes,
Yeah,
and
the
I am
colors.
blown away
You're
in
right.
what you
You're
can
right.
do. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
to push the envelope.
Mm-hmm.
And that shows me we're so limitless. We're so clear. We have so much. There's so much here. We need to just unveil it, just undig it, not looking outside.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You're making me excited. I want to go look at fabric swatches and color
Exactly.
samples.
Of course. Yeah.
Oh man. I think we could have a whole nother conversation just about color.
You just have it any time, and then yeah, if you want to do specific topics, I would love to do the whole psychology of interior design. I really want to do a deep dive into why do people want interior design? Why do we want what is that we want is it to impress other people? What do we really want? Do we want to feel
Mhm.
better? What is it? I mean,
Yeah.
why do you want to, why even design a room? Because in my experience, I like everything empty but that's me.
Hmm.
I don't want really a style or anything. I want minimalism, a desk, this, and not a lot of stuff. And I'm not a clean freak or anything, but and everybody's different. I
Hmm.
understand, but that's not your answer, that you always say, oh, it's different. So why,
No.
you know,
Well, I think it's really interesting that you have a minimal space, but it does make sense if you're somebody who's constantly
yeah,
creating.
creating,
You
yeah,
don't want to be distracted or, have too much input from your environment. I think it's all about what what people want to gain or how they want to be influenced by their environment.
mm,
If you want to feel cozy, say,
yeah,
you're going to want an environment that is kind of objectively already cozy. So when you go into the space,
yeah,
it is putting that feeling on you without you really having to do anything about it. But if you are trying to create, you don't want to have that input. So it makes sense to me that you have a minimal space, but it is interesting because it's not what you would expect right off the bat. You'd expect, brightly colored paintings all over the walls.
yeah.
That might be your
I
first
had
instinct.
that. I had that, but it was I lived in a loft and I had 80 paintings, 80
Wow.
paintings, and I made shows for people that came over and did shows on the weekends. And that was great at that time because I was really into painting then, I'm doing everything right now, but I was really into painting then. And so I had my 3 easels, and because I create like three pieces at a time, or 4 pieces, and I love to see what I learned from the finished pieces. And that's perhaps a last thing to leave for your viewers. It's, if you create something, put it away. And you don't like it. I'm saying, if you don't like it, if you create anything, music, painting, you fix your room, but you don't like it, make a picture, put it away, and then look in 2 months at it. And first, there's 2 things that happen. First, you either know, oh my God, this looks good, and I know exactly what it needs. It needs that color, or it needs that stool, or it needs that painting, or it needs something there. So you know exactly the key piece that makes the whole thing work. Or you come and say, oh my God, this is really good. I couldn't even recognize that, how good it was. There's nothing to change. This was a horrible painting. There was a horrible piece of music. It needs to be discarded. I've talked to so many artists because I asked them the question, and they never discarded it, because when Miles Davis says there is no wrong note. There is, so it's also self-acceptance, which you all learn from art and creativity. It's a superpower.
It is. Oh yeah, I think that's a great way to end the episode.
Yeah.
Before we jump off, where can listeners find you?
MichaellM.com. Michael with 2 L's, MichaellM.com. And you go to Instagram, there's my phone number, and there's,
you can find your
podcast, books, paintings, everything. You can find everything there.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Be sure to check out the complete show notes for today's episode at trimspaces.com/spacesspeak. The notes include a link to the YouTube video of the episode, the full guest's bio, links to connect with them, a summary of key ideas from the episode, and a photo of their favorite piece of furniture or decor.